So as the paint runs out of my brush, I can just very lightly feather the tips of the bristles across the surface of the painting, and that begins to introduce a little bit of texture, which I may end up going over in a moment, but we'll see what happens. So that, if you can hear that banging, that's my cat asking to be let out of the cat flap, so I'll go and help him out a minute. So anyway, now that the cat is outside, it's time to spin the wheel again. So let's see what we get this time. So, okay, I've got brown again. All right, so that's a little bit of a challenge. So what am I going to do? Let me think. Well, I think what I'm going to do is take some more of that burnt umber. And, you know, the good thing with brown is there are a whole range of browns. So I'm going to pick up some of the cadmium red that I had on my palette already, and we'll add some of that in different places. Well, let's see what it looks like first. Yeah, that's not too bad. So we can add a little bit of darker shadow there, and a little bit more on the edges of those dark patches on the knees, perhaps a little bit here, and I'll go over that with a lighter colour later. But as an undercoat, that should work fairly well, hopefully. I'm partially regretting putting such a dark colour there, but we will add a bit more here. Okay, there we go. So let's spin the wheel again. Okay, this time I've got yellow. Now that's a tricky one because there isn't much yellow required in this particular painting, possibly on the eye of the goat, but a little bit early in proceedings to be dealing with that. So what we'll do instead is I will take some pure cadmium yellow, get some of that on the brush with a touch of the titanium white, and what I'll do is I'm going to put this next to the goat where the goat is really in shadow. Perhaps put a little bit back here as well. And why not? Let's get a bit more titanium white, so a little bit of an unconventional move. But let's make these background hills a pale yellow. Now that I've sprayed the surface of the painting, some of that red that I put down at the beginning, that's starting to blend in. So we get a little bit of variation in our yellow. Little more water. So the whole idea of this Wheel of Fortune colour selection is to do something a little bit different to what I would do normally, and so far that's certainly the case. So let's spin the wheel again. And this time I've got blue again. Okay, so this time round I think I will go to the sky. So I'm just adding some more of the ultramarine blue and mixing that with some more titanium white. Now what I actually want to do is I want to make the sky somewhat darker than the goat itself. So because it's a white goat, if I put a little bit of a darker background next to it, that'll make it seem more luminous. So that's just adding a bit more ultramarine blue, and let's start that up high. Moisten the surface of the painting so that we get a nice smooth flow of colour. Now some of the yellow is still on my brush, so I'm getting a little bit of a greeny tint. It's quite subtle, but it's not really ideal for the sky. But it does add a little bit of a stormy feel, so I'm not too concerned. So picking up some more titanium white in the mix. Let's just I can't remember where that red line came from actually, whether that was a measurement mark or not, I don't know. I don't think I need it, so we'll blend some of this lighter colour into the dark up there. Now I'm going to go over the little goatee here because I'm going to be painting over those red lines in a moment with some lighter colours. Let's get a bit more titanium white in the mix as we go nearer the horizon. I'm thinking a darker background. As I said before, I think that might work rather better. So let's pop that in. And go darker here as well, around the I'll just soften that as we go left. So there we go. We've got some beginnings of a sky there. I just want to lift off some of the paint that although I said I was going to cover that, and I did. I didn't mean to obliterate it quite as heavily as I have. So I've just lifted off some of that blue with a wet piece of paper towel so that I can, remember that mark is there. So time to spin the wheel again for the next colour selection. And I've got green again. Okay, so that's going to be a bit tricky, but let's see what we can do. Alright, well I've already got blue on my brush, so I'm going to pick up a little bit of cadmium yellow and create a bit of a deeper green, or sort of a pale green, I guess. Not a deep green, a pale green, sorry. And although, to be honest, there isn't a huge amount of green in my reference, but because this goat's standing in a field which is green, I think I'm going to take a little bit of artistic license. And again, the idea is to do something different, so I'm just going to very lightly block in the rest of my goat in green. And then I think, when I've done that, I think probably the next step is to just start to indicate some texture of the goat hair. So as you can see, I'm putting this paint on really quite thinly, and I'm doing that so that the work I've done already shows through. So essentially all I'm doing is killing the white, the regions of uncoated paper. There we go. So, although I said, well, let's spin the wheel again and see what we get. Orange, okay. All right, so I've mixed up some orange with a goodly amount of cadmium yellow, and